Okay, now let's see what role the teacher plays under realism in classrooms. Realistic teachers perform different functions in the classroom. Number one, they must have a solid grounding in science, math, and the humanities. So it's not just focusing on the sciences, or it's not just focusing on the math, because realists believe that 21st century living encompasses a lot of areas. They make sure that the teacher is well versed in all the areas, because when a student questions about something, the teacher should not say, oh, this is not my area of expertise, or I don't know about this. The role of the teacher is to satisfy the inquiring mind of the student. Next, these teachers rely on test scores to place students. So competency testing of students with various methods. These teachers will rank students, will say you are good, you are weak, you are poor, you pass, you fail. That's not good enough. Okay, if a student is not doing well in my classroom, is failing, what should I do now? Simply looking at a test result and saying you failed does not help the student. But that is what the realist teachers do, because that's what they see as real. You failed, so you failed. I can't do anything, you didn't learn, so you failed. Well, the blame game cannot be played blaming the student or the family or the economic or socio-economic standing of the student. That cannot be blamed for the student failing. Did I do enough for the student? Did I do all that I could have done to make sure that the student does not fail? And in reality, if a student still fails, I may not have done it all. Readily adopting new technology. Because they are real, they see the new technology as important. So they will adopt it. They will adopt it, they will use it, but do they make the students use it? I can get a smartphone, I can get an iPad, I can get a laptop, but I'm using it. What about my students? Do I use all this wonderful stuff with my students? Because I begin to see that this is real. The calculator is a thing of the past. The typewriter is a thing of the past. The fountain pen is a thing of the past. So I take the new technology, I believe it is real, it is important, but how do I use it in my classroom with my students? Do they benefit from the use of the new technology, or when it is misused in my classroom, do I simply erupt and blame the student for being immature, for being selfish, for not being considerate, for not obeying the class rules? Enabling students to learn objective methods of evaluating the works above. In the sciences, in the math, in the arts, in the humanities, don't tell the student what you think. Let the student tell you what they think. That's what this is. Learn the objective methods of evaluating. Did you enjoy the story? Why? Why not? What do you think? What could the author have done? Will you read something else by the same author? Those kinds of inputs, when the student evaluates something that he's read or seen on his own without the teacher's input, is what the realistic teacher would believe in. And that's the role they play. Teachers' responsibility to teach skills and discipline knowledge. It is my responsibility to teach skills and content knowledge in my discipline. Whether I teach math or science or English or whatever I teach, content knowledge I have to teach. But I teach to a certain extent, and then I involve the students to a larger extent. Teachers should be competent in a specific subject matter. I should know about all the different subjects, or very many different subjects, but I should be competent in the one subject I teach. In other words, I should know everything, practically everything about that one subject I teach. Teacher presenting ideas in a clear and consistent manner and demonstrating that there are definite ways to judge works of art, music, poetry, and literature. In other words, the teacher is the example. I will give one or two examples. I will give one or two samples of what good literature is, good art is, good poetry is, good music is. But then I expect the students to be doing the same thing on their own with other pieces of literature, with other poems, with other works of art, not the ones that I have only talked about in the class. So setting an example is key, because that is reality. We learn by observing. We learn by imitating. We learn by seeing what other people do. And those are the kinds of practices the realist teachers are involved in.